Today on our 2007 Ford F350 Super Duty, we're going to be installing the B&W Custom Underbed Installation Kit for B&W Companion Fifth Wheel Trailer Hitches. Part number BWGNRK1108. Now before we begin our install, we'll go ahead and go over the operation of the hitch. You'll simply pull here on the driver's side wheel well and rotate it forward. This will lock the pin in the open position. We'll take the ball, we'll line it up with the hole here, we'll slide it in place. We'll then release the handle in the driver's side wheel well, securing the ball in place. When you're not using the ball, you'll simply pull the handle out and secure it into the unlock position. You'll then take the ball out and flip it over and drop it back down into the hitch. Once that's done, you'll release the handle in the wheel well, securing the ball back in the hitch. Now here's both of our safety chain loops. You'll notice that they are spring loaded from the springs we put on underneath, so they'll pull back down. You'll simply raise them up and hook your safety chain to it. And now we'll go ahead and begin our install. We're going to begin our installation by first lowering and setting the spare tire out of the way. We will reinstall this at the end of the installation. Next, we're going to go ahead and remove both of the rear wheels on the vehicle to give ourselves a little more working room. We'll go ahead and measure from the rear edge of the bed up per the instructions. Go ahead and put a mark there. Next, we're going to need to figure out the center point between the wheel wells of the vehicle. Go ahead and take a measurement. We'll make a mark. Next, we'll go ahead and take a 1/4 inch bit, put a pilot hole where our mark is. We'll go ahead and use our hole saw and drill out a hole to the manufacturer's specification. Next, we're going to go ahead and install a safety strap on our exhaust, as we're going to be lowering it down out of the way. Next, we're going to need to remove a couple of these rubber exhaust hangers in order for the exhaust to be lowered. To do that, we use a little bit of spray lubricant and a large pry bar. We'll then move up and do one on either side of the muffler. And one just in front of the muffler. We'll go ahead and lower the exhaust down by using our safety strap. Now we've gone ahead and checked to see if our rails would fit in without putting the notch here in our bed flange, and they won't quite make it, so we're going to have to go ahead and put the notch in. Now you'll need to measure back from this front bed cross rail. We're going to need to remove this little notch right in here to allow us to slide the cross rails in place. Go ahead and take a pair of tin snips or other cutting means, trim out our marked area. Now that we have our notch here in the edge of the bed, we'll go ahead and put our cross member back in place. Now these two notches here, you'll need to work the cross member up and over the shock mount. So as you're sliding it back, you'll need to roll it into position, and you may need to work it a little side to side to get it up and over the shock mount. And then go ahead and slide it back. Now our bed has some bend to it on the top where it's been crushed in a little, so we're having to use a rubber mallet to slide the cross member back into position. Next, we're going to install the front rail. When it's in position, it'll be positioned like this, with the oval holes down and facing towards the rear. Go ahead and slide it so that it slides over the passenger side shock bracket and kind of angle it up into position like that. Go ahead and center it up over on the passenger side. Go ahead and leave our rails there for now. Next, we're ready to install our side plates. Next, we're going to go ahead and take this bracket here. We're going to install it around the vehicle's frame so that it comes up like that. We'll then take our driver's side plate, slide it up into position. And With our clamp and our side plate in position, go ahead and install a 1/2-inch lock washer. The stud right there, and then we'll put a 1/2-inch nut on it. Just going to install all of these just hand tight for now, as we'll need to make some adjustments later. Here on the bottom hole, we'll install a 1/2-inch bolt through the side plate and the clamp, a 1/2-inch lock washer, and a 1/2-inch nut. Next, we're going to need to take this pipe spacer, and it goes between the side plate and the vehicle's frame. We'll then take our 3/4-inch bolt, slide it through the side plate, the pipe spacer, and the frame of the vehicle. Now we've gone ahead and released the wire from its clamp there, or its plastic zip tie. We'll make it so you can put the flat washer, the 3/4-inch lock washer, followed by a 3/4-inch hex nut. Go ahead then and repeat the same process over on the passenger side. Now we're ready to attach it to the 2 cross rails. It's a good idea to get an extra set of hands. Go ahead and slide our washer onto our 1/2-inch bolt, and then we'll insert it through the cross rail into the center section. On the inside then, we'll put our lock washer and our 1/2-inch nut. We'll go ahead and repeat the same process for the 5 other locations that secure the cross rails to the center section. Now that the rear cross member is attached, we'll go ahead and slide the front member into position. Then go ahead and repeat the same process on these 3 mounting locations. Next, we're going to go ahead and bolt the cross members to the side plates. We'll go ahead and put our 1/2-inch bolt. Now with our bolt in, we'll go ahead and take a flat washer, followed by a 1/2-inch lock washer, finally a 1/2-inch hex nut. Then go ahead and repeat the same process over on the driver's side. Next, we're going to go ahead and tighten down the 6 bolts that secure the center section to the 2 cross rails. We'll go ahead and tighten them down, and then we'll torque them to the manufacturer's specification. Now that we have the center bolts tightened, next we'll go ahead and tighten the 3/4-inch bolts, the one on each side. Next, we'll go ahead and torque down the 3/4-inch bolts and nuts to the manufacturer's specification. Next, we're going to go ahead and tighten down this bolt that connects the strap to the side plate, and then the stud on the strap. And then we'll torque them to the manufacturer's specification. We'll repeat the same process over on the passenger side. Next, we'll go ahead and tighten down the bolts that secure the side plates to the cross rails. Go ahead and tighten them down, and then torque them to the manufacturer's specification. We'll repeat the same process over on the passenger side. Next, we're going to go ahead and install the handle. Go ahead and take our handle, we'll feed it through the slot right there. And work the handle so it goes out into the wheel well. This little hook part on the handle will go on the front side of this little gray tab here. We'll then take our small carriage bolt, we'll go through the tab, through the handle. We'll then put a locking flange nut onto the carriage bolt. We'll then go ahead and tighten down that nut. Go ahead and pull the center pin out so that it locks in the open position. So when you pull the handle out, if it does not lock in the open position, you have the handle installed wrong. Next, we're going to need to drill a pilot hole at both sets of inner holes here, the 2 here and the 2 here. We're going to use a 1/4-inch pilot bit and drill from the underside up. Where then inside the bed, we'll drill a 1/4-inch hole back down through. Next, we're going to go ahead and take our safety U-bolts, drop them through the holes we just drilled. Next, we're going to go ahead and take our springs, slide it over the U-bolt, where we'll then put a locking nut in place. We'll go ahead and repeat the same process on the other 3 locations. Now that we have all the hardware loosely installed, we'll go ahead and tighten down the nut so that it's flush with the bottom of the U-bolt. Next, we're going to need to remove this rear exhaust bracket. We'll be adding in an extension that helps lower the exhaust down. Now, to remove the bracket, there's a nut and a bolt that goes through the frame here. Next, we're going to go ahead and take our extension bracket and our factory bracket. We'll line up with this hole for the tab, which will line up this bottom hole here. The hole in the bracket, take a 5/16 carriage bolt, take a flange nut, go ahead and tighten it down. Next, we're going to go ahead and put the bracket back up into position. We'll be going through the large round hole with the factory hardware that we removed. Then for the very top hole, we'll be using another 5/16 carriage bolt that will feed through the bracket, go through the other hole in the frame, where we'll again put a flange nut. We'll go ahead and tighten down our factory hardware first, and then we'll tighten down the other carriage bolt. Now that we have all the hardware tightened down, now we're ready to reinstall our exhaust into the rubber exhaust hangers. Once our rubber exhaust hangers are back in place, we can go ahead and remove the safety strap. Now we'll go ahead and reinstall each of our rear wheels, as well as putting our spare tire back up into position. And that'll do it for our installation of the B&W Gooseneck Hitch part number BWGNRK1108 on our 2007 Ford F350 Super Duty.